Blog Talk Radio.
America. This is Nate Smooth. Here it is. And let me lay it down for you. Check it out. Coming to you live with conservative talk and information for the warrior in you. We're all warriors in this warrior nation, fighting to keep our freedoms and constitutional rights. So never give up. Never give up the fight. It's a warrior nation. Fight the progressives. It's a warrior nation. Fight to keep our freedoms. It's a warrior nation. For you and me. It's a warrior nation. Protecting our liberties.
We're a warrior nation with no time to play. Join the Constitution is the American way. We're a warrior nation, both night and day. Fighting for our freedom, cause we're here to stay. Let's fight!
Good evening, warriors, and welcome to Warrior Nation with Prince and Bobs. I'm your host, Jules Prince, and please welcome to the show my lovely co-host, Mr. Kevin Bob.
Howdy, Jules.
How you doing today,
I'm
Mr.
doing
Fab?
fantastic. Julanito?
Good. I'm glad that this rain is kind of subsiding a little bit. We had some torrential downpours the other night, and thought our house was going to float away.
I thought so. I looked up in the sky and said, what's happening to Jules?
It was really terrible. It really was. The school was shut down, the middle school down here.
Yeah.
Because, parents couldn't get through to take their kids to school. So I'm glad that is over. But, we are in Cleveland, so you never know. It could be snowing tomorrow. So.
Right.
Well, welcome to the show, folks. Sit back, open a bottle of wine, and enjoy some real conservative talk radio with us. And as always, you've made a great choice deciding to join our revolution tonight. So we have got a great show for you. We'll address many critical issues plaguing our nation at this very moment. Tonight we'll tackle the latest on illegal immigration, where our quote-unquote leadership, okay, if you want to call them leadership, stands on the issue now, illegal aliens, children, and education, and something known as a rescue beacon.
What's that?
You'll have to wait and find out.
Okay.
Rescue beacon. Sending out an SOS for aliens that have fallen and just can't get up in the desert. So we'll be addressing that. We'll talk about the latest on Benghazi and Trey Gowdy leading the investigation, and who will be on his panel. Will ISA be on the panel? And will we finally get some answers and get some justice regarding this very serious issue?
Right.
We'll discuss the latest on the Bundy Ranchers situation and the bigoted comments made by Cliven Bundy and contrast that with what Donald Sterling has said and what's come out in the news about him. Is it freedom of speech or is it racism?
Right.
So we'll also have kind of like a little bit of a zany segment on politics, too, and we'll discuss the random political happenings that have been going on the last 2 weeks or so that are just kind of, like things that make you go,
Right.
Kind of issues.
Right.
And, of course, we will have our Warrior of the Week and our Beatdown of the Week as well, and our Papa Squat segment with Jules and Kev. Yes, where you, the listeners, get to know us.
And discover something about Jules.
Oh, and something about Mr. Fabs as well. Be sure, Warriors, to check us out on Facebook, where you'll find 2 pages for Conservative Warriors. Just look up Conservative-Warriors. You can find 2 of them. And on Twitter, our handle is Conservative Warriors @Reagan Warriors. And you can find us Thursday evenings on Blog Talk Radio right here from 7 to 9 p.m. And if you missed the show, please make sure you check out our archives as well. We have a lot of really cool topics that we discuss and tackle, and some fun ones too. So make sure you check us out. Let's get started since we have a lot to talk about. We haven't been on the air for a little while. We've been kind of doing some developmental things for the show and some other things going on as well. So we apologize for being a little bit sporadic, the word of the day, sporadic with our shows. But we hope very soon we'll be on more regularly. So let's jump right in and let's start with this whole illegal immigration thing going on. Now, if you listen to our shows, we talk about this issue quite a bit because it is, next to Obamacare, one of the top issues that is plaguing our nation is going to come down on us like a hammer, folks.
It's an invasion.
Yes, it is. It's an invasion of undocumented illegal aliens, extraterrestrials, if you will, that don't belong here, that are coming here illegally.
Not from space, but across the waters, in the deserts, and
everywhere. Okay, dropping out of the sky probably too at this point. So, as I said, it's one of the most serious issues facing America today. Now, this issue and how it's handled will have dire consequences. It could have dire consequences. That is basically thrust onto the American people. If our elected officials don't handle it by the end of Obama's term, this is Obama saying, that he has threatened to use executive order to force the issue to his liking. Now, he's done that on many other different issues, and then I don't see that changing.
He did that with in 2012 in June, and when he basically granted freedom, I call it freedom to not get arrested anyway, in June of 2012, and between 800,000 and 1 million illegal aliens are not going to get arrested. Actually, now they're working and getting Social Security and private driver's licenses. Right. We reported on that, out there in Colorado and other places, California, trying to get driver's license. Our top leaders who don't want, that don't want their names used, according to an article on Breitbart, are claiming that he's going to definitely do this. And so they're in a rush to get it done. Yeah. He was quite honest about it, didn't want to be revealed, but, they're in a rush to get this done. So isn't that always the way it's done, though? We're always in a rush, pass it before we know what's in it, right? Like Obamacare. Sneak it under the radar so that people don't really know what they're getting themselves into or what they're blindly accepting. Yeah.
So John Boehner, who's supposed to be the leadership in all of this, okay, has gone back and forth so many times publicly.
Ping pong.
Yes. In the news and in private events and things like that, saying it will be indefinitely delayed, then saying it'll be a priority, then back again. So ultimately what they're doing is they're working behind the scenes trying to make these deals, all while American people have their eyes, mouths, and ears closed. He is not to be trusted to do what's best for the American people, Warriors.
Right.
So let's just start off with that. He's supposed to be the leadership on this, and he cannot be trusted. We know this. And, frankly, what does he care anyways? I mean, he just bought his retirement home in Florida.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So what does that say? Buy your retirement home in Florida, you think he's going to be around to even give 2 rats butts about what is going to happen?
And the question is, would he actually, because of the scandal, would he actually be elected anyway for speakership in December of this year?
Right, absolutely. So, okay, Warriors, sorry about that. We had technical difficulties with what was going on with Blog Talk. Sorry about that, but to jump right back in, we were talking about the Dreamers, how they can be, it's an act called the Enlist Act, being led by Republican from California, Jeff Dunham. Now, this actually, okay, if you think about this, this is actually the first step. This would be the first step towards giving some sort of amnesty. But it's done under the radar, sneakily trying to put something in there. Now, if we weren't reporting on this, how many American citizens would you think, unless they were reading, which they'd have to read a whole lot to come across this?
Right. Zero.
You wouldn't know about this.
Zero.
You wouldn't know about this at all. And so essentially, anyone who has been in the United States since before 2011 and were younger than 15 at the time, they can join our military and receive legal status. They put in there this little disclaimer that if you're discharged for anything but honorably, they will lose their status. Now, the folks that are coming here legally in the legal way, the right way, can apply for legal status after 5 years. 5 years. Okay, but these other, illegals can, join our military and get, legal status, but that also means they will get legal status for their family as well.
Now, I think, Jules, the big question, because the bill still has to go to the House floor for a vote, and you mentioned earlier that the bill's in the Armed Services Committee right now. The chairman actually said about a week ago or so that he is the toughest opponent to this enlistment. He doesn't want it in his bill, and he doesn't want any amendment added to the bill, even on the House floor. So we have to put continue pressure on him to make certain that it doesn't end up with amendments like the Enlist Act on the House floor.
Right, and there's also watchdog groups out there that are trying to squash this as well. Now, when a person goes into our military, they're swearing an oath that they will serve and protect our country. Okay? Our national security wasn't meant to be a bargaining chip here, folks, for illegal aliens. I mean, that's essentially what this is, and this is outrageous to me. Here we've got our men and women taking an oath, as I said, defend our Constitution, and in essence, they're really breaking our laws that they're swearing to protect. Now, this is no way, no how, and this is just a joke. Honestly, Warriors, this is a joke.
It's like trying to be in both sides of saying in both camps. Either you're illegal or you're not illegal, and you're breaking the law, but you want to defend the country's laws. So you can't have both ways, and they want it all ways. That's what's happening with this bill.
Well, yeah, and why would somebody want to join our military? Because their heart is in it. Yeah. Okay, I would believe that that's the majority of why people, they want to defend our country. They have a love and a patriotism for their country. A large majority of them. I'm sure there's other reasons for other people, but, I would say that's the large majority of it. And here you have people that are, by the way, if you join our military, you have no desire to have allegiance to our country. Right. You're just doing it to become a legal citizen. That would be like, oh, hey, I'm not in love with you or anything, but you're an American citizen. I want my green card, so I'm going to marry you.
So
how is that illegal? Yeah. And how is this not?
Right.
Okay, so it's hypocrisy, really.
It's a legal green card.
But you get your green card, by pretending that you love our military. Our elected officials are trying to neatly and very quietly package this step towards amnesty, folks, right under our noses. And, something come to find out that this bill has some surprising folks that are backing this. They wanted to back this bill. There are 42 co-sponsors of this bill, and 2 of them being Trey Gowdy and Daryl Issa.
Interesting.
OMG, folks. OMG. I mean, who the heck can you trust anymore to be forthright and conservative and stand by what's right? Because this, I'm telling you right now, it's not right, in my very humblest opinion.
Now, what could be happening too, Jules, is that sometimes what happens in both in terms of the committee or on the House floor is that you have to be able to say that you report something, not say for it before you're against it, to say that you're for it so that you have an opportunity to speak on its behalf, to send it back to committee. That's a possibility.
You have the issues here that are plain as day.
Yeah.
They are breaking the law.
True.
Okay? So there is no such thing as amnesty, folks. There is no such thing as amnesty. You break the law, you get sent back.
Right.
Okay? They go in there. They should be securing our borders with our military, in my opinion.
This bill is actually a bill that shouldn't even be on the table right now.
No.
I mean, when you think about it, we have about a month left before anything happens until middle part of September. So this bill actually is to me, it's like a death bill for Republicans. If you really intend to support something like this, then you should be unelected.
Well, absolutely, because the American people are saying no.
Yeah.
They're saying no to amnesty and, all the repercussions that giving amnesty would entail, and that's the crash of our economy and taking of jobs that now, because of Obamacare, barely exist.
Health care.
Social Security, which is almost non-existent now.
Right.
Bringing in diseases, gang members, drugs.
And terrorists.
And terrorists, members of Al-Qaeda. So we'll be keeping an eye on this, definitely for you guys folks, because this is interesting, and I'm glad we were able to bring this little sneakiness to you, because that's one thing that the American people don't like is sneakiness and backhandedness and all of that.
How did they elect Obama? I'm still mystified.
They were being a little crackish that day, I guess. I don't know, but they weren't quite themselves. But here's another story, another interesting little tidbit for y'all. How much more attractive do you think that our elected officials can possibly make it for illegals to come here? Okay, they'll get housing, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. Food, because of welfare. Social Security, driver's license.
Because they got to drive through us,
Yeah, they got to drive, all their, buds in the back of their van to the next job site or whatever the heck's going on. And eventually, of course, they are expecting citizenship with
in California, they got to vote.
Right.
We all know, vote's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And now they're going to even make it easier. Okay, their journey a more pleasant one. Okay. Because, the life of an illegal alien is pretty darn rough. And wait till you hear this, folks. This is unbelievable. So, you're an illegal alien who decides, you know what, I'm going to make that journey to America. That's right. I'm brave. I could do this. I'm totally ready.
Like in a Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm making that journey. So you've made up your mind,
Yeah. Okay.
And you know how hard that journey can be. So, you've got... Man, the life of an illegal alien is hard. You've got out there in the desert, well-trained. The threat of being bitten by rattlesnakes is imminent. It's always there. Heat exhaustion, because you just did not pack enough water for yourself.
Yeah.
So, you got heat exhaustion. Threat of being murdered or raped or both. Just as you're about to, jump the border. Threat of your stash being taken. All of that. But you see, the threat of being caught really isn't there. You don't have to worry too much about that. You would think that would be number one on the list of all those other things I just rattled off, but really,
well, because Obama already said,
he
asked the Border Patrol, through his Homeland Security, you can engage. Run the other way. So you're right, no threat.
Yeah, no threat. So they say, I want to live there and suck off the riches too. Plus, you've heard from your cousin Consuelo, okay, that they will come and save you if you get into trouble out there in the harsh, brutal elements. And let me explain. Our government had decided to build our little illegal friends what is known as rescue beacons.
Rescue beacons.
Rescue beacons, folks. A rescue beacon will save your life if it's ever in peril. Rescue beacons are in the middle of the desert. They stand 30 feet tall.
So they can see them.
They can see them from 10 miles away.
You have to see these beacons, because otherwise...
Blue light special, flashing on top, screaming out, here we are. 10 miles away, so you'll be sure to see it, okay? Mm-hmm. And it will guide your way through the desert like the bat symbol would for Gotham City. Now, if you run into any trouble, all you have to do is just press that little button and a distress call will be sent out to our border patrol. And there, they'll come to your rescue in an hour or less.
Now, you know what, Jill, the question then is, if they come to your rescue in an hour or less.
Now, that's service.
Yeah, that's service.
I mean, that's service.
Are they sending them back, or are they going to escort them to where? What's happening with these guys?
Well, that's one thing I'm not too sure of. We're still investigating on what what does happen to these illegals.
Yeah.
Now, for their convenience, it's in 3 different languages. There's 3 different languages on it. Now get this: there's English, there's Spanish, and there's Chinese.
Wait a minute. Chinese is like.
Shouldn't that be Arabic?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, I guess, because they come from China by way of Mexico. I'm a little lost on that one.
I'm a little lost on that one too, but there's Chinese on there for your convenience.
Okay.
And if you can't be rescued the old-fashioned way by, one of our border patrol agents coming and seeing, responding to your distress call, then just sit tight because a rescue team will come for you in a helicopter.
In a helicopter?
In a helicopter. Now, can you imagine, Kevin, the tax dollars that it's taking to run this program to rescue these criminals?
I would think that we would want to have a bus meet them so we can drive them back. It doesn't make any sense. I'm lost on this one. It doesn't make any sense. Why are we putting beacons up to give people the opportunity to see them, take them into town, feed them, clothe them, probably bathe them too, and then they assimilate? This is ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous thing I've seen.
It is, and they actually did practice runs.
Oh.
They were showing these totally pro-amnesty folks.
Yeah.
They put on a demonstration for them.
So they can actually, at nighttime, hopefully.
Yeah, and they actually walked out through part of the desert to show them, clothing sitting there that someone had left behind, personal items, and to show them really how hard it is for them to make it through the jagger bushes. Do you know what a jagger bush is, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of people would not call them jagger bushes, but being from Pennsylvania, that's what we call them there. So they might get their fingers pricked or something like that, and, we cannot have that because those are future voters for Americans.
Ouchie.
Yeah, and for our elected officials. Those are future votes that we need to protect, folks. And that's really what, in my opinion, it's all about.
Well, you know what? I think that's really one more example of why we really have to have full focus on what's happening on the border.
Woo!
Well, that was close.
Do you hear that, folks? We were just, you know what, darn it, I should have knocked on wood because we were just talking about the rain. Well, we've got another one,
you know what that
storm.
Means? That the lightning strike means another liberal lost swing.
Oh, yeah, it does. You're right. They lost its wings. Oh. Or its horn.
All right.
So I think that's more appropriate.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah.
For that catch.
Yeah. So, but it's raining here again, folks. But this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. How much more can our elected officials do, our government do, to encourage illegal activity?
Yeah, you know what? It's like saying to a burglar that, you know what? You've broken into a house, or I'm thinking about breaking into the house. Now I'm going to make it even easier for you to break into the house.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this blue light, as you said, special, right? So you can actually see how
and guide you as
your
beacon. That's what they call it, a beacon.
Yeah.
We all know what a beacon is out in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's a rescue beacon. That's what it is.
So can you imagine that? We're making it easier for them to break in. If it's not that, it's easy enough. You think about 20 million illegal aliens in the United States right now. We're saying, you know what?
Oh, no.
We need more.
It's 11. Okay, it's 11 million. That's what they report on, and
oh, come on, Joel.
Yeah, come on. That's what the libs always say. Come on now. It's not really 20 million. It's 11 million. No, it's not. We'll say for argument's sake, 11 million plus.
Plus, and plus.
And we have no idea who they are.
No.
No idea who they are.
But we know that they deserve a blue light special.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to see how to get here safely, securely, with confidence.
Yes, absolutely. So no fear, dear illegal. America will come to your rescue and save you.
We have to save ourselves. We have to save ourselves from them.
Well, it's sick.
That's all I'm saying.
It's sick, and Americans are saying no. And that's why when you guys go to the ballot box, you know, to think long and hard about who you're going to support. And it even actually begins before the ballot box. Get yourselves involved with actual candidates that you know are going to work for you.
Right.
Not these clowns that we got in there now who are actually working for themselves and working for their own devices. You need someone who's going to work for our Constitution, work for our rights, our freedoms, and bring America back to the glory that we know that she is. One
of the problems, too, Jules, is that let's just, for the sake of argument, it passes. And we then think that the administration is going to follow through on any kind of, they're going to follow through on anything.
No.
They haven't done it so far.
No.
Except that we will only enforce the laws that we feel comfortable with.
Well, yeah, and Boehner has been going back and forth because I believe it's a matter of confusion. Because at any given moment, you don't know what his stance is on it.
Yeah.
Because he has every intention on passing illegal immigration. And I believe probably this year.
If he would try to do that this year, it would be suicide for Republicans.
Yeah, but you know what? Think about it. Do the Republicans actually think? Okay, are they smart?
I think a lot of them have this capacity
to be smart?
Yes.
But do they use that capacity to be smart?
Well,
because I don't think it's too smart to lose your base, lose conservatives, and you're put yourself on an island now.
I do trust conservatives in the House, in the Tea Party in the House. I can't speak for Boehner or any of the others who are not. What my point is that we need more Tea Party people or conservatives.
Yes. Yeah. So when you guys are looking for candidates that may be the dark horse, really check them out. Go visit them, talk to them, find out what their platform is, and then help them out. If you like what you have to hear, or what they have to say, then help them out.
Yeah, because you got to think about it this way. Would you allow, when you vote for that person, would you allow a person to break into your house? And would you allow this person, because this person who you're voting for, if he votes for or she votes for this kind of bill, they're saying, come on in, break into my house. And you're giving that person the opportunity. So think about that.
Yeah, it's also a matter of national security, folks. We have a lot to defend and here right in our own ground. I just fear we're going to see a lot of things that we never thought we would here in America in the next 10 years.
Yeah, everything's Spanish.
Well, not just that, but there could be attacks, on buses. I mean, we could see some things that we never thought we could due to what's going on here. Yeah. So, once again, folks, we will keep you updated on this issue in the latest because this is something that's near and dear to our hearts, and I'm sure it is to your heart as well. So, moving on to another obvious, very serious issue that's now being brought back into light quite a bit. September 11th, 2012, another day that will live in infamy for America. We have two September 11th.
Right.
This one's 2012. The day that 4 Americans were brutally murdered at our U.S. consulate in Benghazi. Mm-hmm. Our ambassador, Chris Stevens, Sean Smith, who was a U.S. Foreign Service Information Management Officer, Tyrone Woods, and Glenn Doherty, CIA contractors, both contractors. Now, it's going on 2 years, and we are not any closer to finding out the truth about what happened that fateful day. Finally, there's been a Benghazi Select Committee panel that is going to be being formed and led by none other than the Zupa star, Mr. Trey Gowdy, the U.S. representative of South Carolina's 4th Congressional District. He used to be a prosecutor as well. If you've seen him and watched any YouTube videos on him, he is bad to the bone. Okay?
And he strikes fear in the hearts of all liberals, especially not just those who he's talking to at the witness table, but those who are on the committee as well, the Democrats.
Yeah, he doesn't stop. He doesn't give up. Now, he's promising that this won't be a Dems versus the rep scenario, okay, that the facts are the facts, and they speak for themselves, because, you've got Nancy Pelosi getting her pantaloons all up in a bunch already over who's going to be on this committee. You know,
Right.
You knew that the Dems were going to, have a hard time and that they're going to protest and, be all freaking whacked out. This was scare the pants off of Hillary and Obama. It's got to strike some fear into their hearts. You can't argue with the facts. Now, this quote-unquote select committee will be granted the power to subpoena documents and concentrate in all of its efforts on this investigation. Facts, man. So, who will be on this select committee, Mr. Fabs? Do we got Darrell Issa or Ted Cruz on there?
Well, Ted's in the Senate, so he's not. Although Ted Cruz has been asking the Senate a couple times this week and to form a joint select committee.
Yes, I heard that.
He was shut down, of course,
right,
by Reid, majority leader. But no, ICE is not. But actually, we do have somebody from Ohio who I've watched him on committees, and I've watched him in terms of how he's directed himself and comported himself. Jim Jordan of Ohio, a great guy, and he's going to be good on the committee. Representative Susan Brooks of Indiana, and Mike Pompeo of Kansas, Martha Roby of Alabama, for those in Alabama who know Martha, Peter Roscom of Illinois, and rounding out the committee, Lynn Westmoreland of Georgia.
All reps.
Yeah, all of them reps and all of them on the committee. And now, what hasn't happened yet is that we don't know who the Democrats are. They've They went into a
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy actually went into a closed committee hearing, and they've decided either they're going to boycott, they're going to put one person on the committee. They don't know what they're going to do because they're confused.
Well,
they're scared. I think they're scared. The select committee that has all this power now, they're scared.
Well, I think it goes back to what Ted Cruz just recently said too, saying that they can't handle the truth. Okay, quoting the movie, A Few Good Men can't handle the truth, and that is, there is some deep water in that. Lois Lerner also deep.
Oh yeah, we can't
water. We can't. We'll throw her in there after this.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, did you know, Warriors, that our elected officials actually try and make money off these tragedies? Did you know that, Kev?
I had an idea, Jules.
Now, Gowdy's made a statement calling both sides out on not doing such a thing. Now, the National Republican Congressional Committee launched a website last week called BenghaziWatchdogs.com.
Oh, no, they didn't.
Well, yeah, it did, which asked supporters for donations.
Okay.
Donations.
To do what?
We don't know. What on earth for would you need donations, regarding Benghazi at all? For what? Oh, because they don't have enough money to keep up a WordPress website? Yeah, I kind of don't think that that's the reasoning behind it. Now, Gowdy came out and blasted the Dems as well, telling them that they had, quote-unquote, selective amnesia, and reminding them that they had made money off of Sandy Hook, Katrina, Iraq, Afghanistan. So it's deplorable, folks. Either way, making money off of a tragedy, that has killed innocents and Americans, it's just deplorable, and it doesn't get any lower than that, Warriors. So, Kev, I thought we should take a look at some of the facts here, folks, since we're talking about just the facts, right? The facts, man. Well, let's talk about some of the facts that the American citizens actually do know.
Okay.
All right, and there's just a couple of them, not in any particular order, but this is some of the facts that we do know regarding Benghazi.
Okay.
Number one, we know that Obama has referred to what has happened in Benghazi as a phony scandal. Not real, folks. This is just a fabricated, phony scandal, something that dumb American slobs have basically created.
Is that those? You said that about?
He didn't say that. He didn't say that part. He said phony scandal.
Fight that then.
But it was kind of like, okay, this is just another phony scandal that's been fabricated by who? Okay, people that he looks down upon, and that's the American people.
Right.
So we do know that. Number two, we know that nobody is saying where Obama was the night of the attack. The commander-in-chief went MIA, folks. MIA. Where was he?
He wasn't. We know he wasn't in the situation. That much we do know.
Was he golfing?
Was he playing chess? Well, wait a minute.
Was he smoking a doobie out in the, rose garden? Where was he?
We don't know. And we have to know. We should know where our commander-in-chief, or at least the one who's masquerading, was.
Well, Hillary Clinton was dead.
Oh, well. So she didn't get the wake-up call?
I don't think so. Or she did, she ignored it.
Okay.
So number 3, we know Hillary Clinton has a lot to hide as she screams during the hearing. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
4 Americans die under your watch. With all due respect, Hillary, it makes a lot of difference on what happened. Number 4, we know that Susan Rice blamed the attacks on an internet YouTube video that caused a quote-unquote spontaneous attack, even though the American flag was the last flag standing there. Everyone else had basically pretty much beat feet out of there, all right? So what did they know that our elected officials were ignoring? You had the Red Cross disappear because they were attacked.
Right, earlier that year.
You had the British left. They beat feet out of there because their ambassador, there was an assassination attempt on him.
Right.
So the American flag, our beautiful, beautiful American flag, was the last one standing, as usual.
Right.
But not for reasons of good.
Right.
So number 5, we know that the men hired to protect our consulate were actually working for Al-Qaeda and stepped aside when the army of heathens came in that had been seen taking pictures of the consulate the day before the attacks from the rooftops next door. We do know that the very people that our government hired to protect our Americans stepped aside, obviously working for the evil.
Right, and we know that there was an attack on the consulate in August of that year. At least
they started in April of that year.
But we know that they actually had an actual attack at that physical place in August, and he actually even asked at that time, we have a need for more protection again 3 weeks before the attack.
Right.
And nothing was done.
Nothing. It was ignored. Number 6, we know that our rescue forces were told to stand down.
Mm-hmm.
When it seemed clear that they could have rescued our Americans, they were told to stand down. Not just once, but several times, stand down. And, when you take an oath in the military and you're a special forces unit and you're being told to stand down, when you know in your heart that you could go and rescue people, the pressure and the pain that was probably put upon those men as well, knowing that they could get there in time.
And in fact, the General African, who was in charge of that, who was let go, said in House Committee hearing recently that he was dismayed when he received that order to stand down because they could have sent at least even a F-16 there at that time and did nothing.
Nothing. They
Absolutely
waited
nothing.
hours and hours and hours went by before they were even able to suit up and gear up and get ready to go.
7 hours.
7 hours.
That's a long time.
Number 7, we know Ambassador Stevens sent several messages, as we talked about, to Hillary and others reporting on the increased violence and asking to be evacuated. And as I said, there was violence that was beginning in April, with other, places too, like the Red Cross and the British Embassy and all of that. They were being attacked as well, and they left. Their people got them out of there.
Right.
Okay, their country got them out of there, and our country, and I'm not even going to say our country, because whenever I say our country or the United States or America, ignored it, it wasn't. Because America is a wonderful, beautiful place and what we stand on. It's our government.
Yeah, the public officials in charge.
That did that, okay? Number 8, we know that sources have said that the post in Benghazi wasn't a political one. That, in fact, it was being used as a CIA cover to smuggle weapons from Libya to anti-Assad rebels in Syria. It was a cover for the moving of arms, according to Seymour Hersh, an investigative journalist. Arms running Remember that little stint that McCain did, sneaking across the border to meet with rebels?
I remember that. Yeah.
Isn't that sweet, special? I mean, that came out, and I was, like, in shock. But, gee, folks, I mean, I wonder what that little meeting was all about, you know, making sure that their little project is going well. How you guys doing? Good? Okay, awesome. Were they, like, knuckle bunting and high-fiving?
He's kind of like, he's a poster child for what a Republican rhino really is. Because he wasn't there, obviously, to do anything except to be a sort of like a hearing post for the president. That's what McCain is right now. That's what he's become.
Yeah, and kind of Hillary's lapdog, too.
Yeah.
You know, so, number 9. We know the violence actually began in April of 2012, as we said, when 2 former security guards threw a bomb over the fence of the consulate. The U.S. Red Cross was bombed as well as an assassination attempt against the British ambassador. They all left. Number 10, we know that 125 to 150 gunmen stormed the building.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, it was a spontaneous attack to gather up 125 to 150 gunmen, you know.
Yeah.
Totally spontaneous.
Mortars and
yes, and
heavy artillery.
Yes, and
keeping your closet, obviously.
Right, absolutely. Just for a rainy day.
Yeah.
You know, they were out because let's go have some fun.
Yeah.
Number 11, we know that it said that Chris Stevens' body, and before I say this point, this has to be one of the saddest points made in the things that the American folks do
right.
know, and it kind of makes me bitter in a way because they wouldn't release pictures of Osama bin Laden's body. They
right.
would not do that. For fear of retaliation, for fear of him being a martyr, all kinds of stupid scenarios. But this next point sickens me. This sickens me. We know that it is said that Chris Stevens' body was found in the back of the building and taken to a hospital where they performed, supposedly, CPR for 90 minutes. But if you have half a brain and you have access to a computer, you know that this simply isn't true. Our ambassador's body was taken by sick freaks. They paraded his body through the streets. We have a wonderful device known as a phone camera, where these sick freaks took pictures of our ambassador's body.
Right.
Being paraded through the streets. Accounts even claim that he was raped. If you look at the pictures circulating on the internet and you examine them closely, there's several of them in several different shots were taken of his body as these men, these heathens, or pure evil, are taking him through the streets. If you look closely at them, there are several where there's different still shots, and his arm is actually bent as his hand is up touching his forehead. Now, last I checked, dead people don't bend their arm up to touch their forehead to their head.
Right.
Okay? So, really, we have no clue when our ambassador died and what exactly he died of.
Right.
So, we have no idea what really happened out there, but we're praying every single day that Trey Gowdy will lead this charge. And he will find out what happened, and people will be brought to justice because justice needs to be served.
Both those who attacked are Americans who died, as well as those who did not look to their responsibility here. Those public officials, like, for example, the president, for example, former Secretary Clinton, and so on.
Yes, and the terrorists that were over there that day. They had a drone over there. So don't tell me that they don't have possible pictures of suspects and they can't get that information.
And that we haven't had. I mean, the New York Times, the reporter, one of them for the New York Times, was able to have actually a lunch with one of the alleged attackers actually in Benghazi. If he can find them, how come he couldn't?
Exactly. So there's just a few questions that I think are important and need to be answered. And one of them is, what has been done to increase security for Americans abroad in foreign countries at these consulates? What has been done to ensure that another Benghazi-type attack isn't going to happen? And, of course, have we identified who the attackers are over there?
Right.
So, this is a sad issue that this has happened in America, and this has happened to Americans, and, the total fear that they probably felt because, you're looking up in the skies wondering, where is my America? Why aren't they coming?
When in the military, you know exactly, at least up until Obama, that your country would come for you. You're trained, you understand that. With Obama, you have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea once you put on that uniform whether or not you're going to be defended by your commander-in-chief or not. And that's a scary thought for our military right now.
Yeah, and they cut their pay. They live in impoverished conditions. Our military is basically kicked in the teeth, by this administration. And it really breaks my heart because there's nothing more amazing for Americans than our military.
Right.
And they deserve the utmost respect and care taken for them. One time we'll have to do a something on our vets and the conditions that our vets are under. That's a whole other show. But the point of the matter is, when those distress calls came in from our ambassador months before this even happened, that we need to kind of leave, and he was told no.
Yeah.
We have a huge problem.
Right.
So, again, another issue that we will make sure that we follow up with you, Warriors, and give you the latest.
Mm-hmm.
So, Warriors, on that note, I have got to take a really quick break. I'm just enjoying talking to y'all so much that I forget about our break sometimes. So we're going to take a real quick break, and you're listening to Warrior Nation. We'll be right back.
America. This is Nate Smooth. Here it is. Let me lay it down for you. Check it out. Coming to you live with conservative talk and information for the warrior in you. We're all warriors in this warrior nation, fighting to keep our freedoms and constitutional rights. So never give up. Never give up the fight.
It's a warrior nation.
Fight the progressives.
It's a warrior nation.
Fight to keep our freedoms.
It's a warrior nation.
For you and me.
It's a warrior nation.
Protecting our liberties.
We're a warrior nation with no time to play. Join the Constitution is the American way. We're a warrior nation, both night and day. Fighting for our freedom 'cause we're here to stay. Let's fight!
You're tuned in to Warrior Nation with Prince and Foz, coming to you live from the Warrior Studios. And it all starts now.
Welcome back, Warriors. You're listening to Warrior Nation with Prince and Bob. Thanks for joining our little revolution, and hopefully you've been listening this whole time. We just got off of a segment talking about what's going on with the Benghazi panel.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll be sure to keep you guys updated on what's happening with that. So, here at Warrior Nation, we are obviously huge supporters of our Constitution, right?
Totally.
And so let's talk about a subject that affects every single American, okay? And that's the issue of freedom of speech. Now, in this PC world we live in, folks, you're under the microscope with every breath you take, it seems.
Yeah.
Okay? So, two examples of late that have been in the news are two guys, okay? Two outspoken guys, if you will. And they are Clyde and Bundy, the ranch owner, Bundy Ranch, and Mr. Fabulous Donald Sterling, the now former Clippers owner.
Well, he still owns it, Jules. He just can't do anything with it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the former head honcho?
Yeah, he's kind of like put in suspension, actually. He owns it, but he can't. They want him to sell it, but he can't do anything with it because he's been forbidden. So it's like
he's not allowed to attend the game.
Can't go to the game. Can't even communicate with anybody there because he's paying the bill.
And apparently he's into long. His little dating thing would be into long phone conversations. So let's start with Bundy first. Okay. Now, this guy, of course, is the leader of the Bundy Rancher family, the patriarch or whatever. They're going toe-to-toe with the government, the family, the BLM, or the Bureau of Land Management, over land the family had permission to use during the 1800s.
Right.
Okay? Their family. And it was a way to entice settlers to move there. Okay? Yeah. So they were like, okay, you can use this land. Some other issues were going on where they were actually, 1992, the government began saying, you need to get your stuff off the land now.
Yeah.
And
quick.
Quite quick. Well, I don't see 1992 to now being as quite quick, but I guess in government worker terms, that's quite quick. Yeah. But they were also stretching their boots out in other parts of government land, like in Meade Park and everything where they didn't belong. They were setting up shop there too.
Yeah.
So, we've got some problems now, So that's a little bit of background for you guys, if you haven't been paying attention, which I'm sure y'all have. If you're listening to this broadcast, then you're paying attention. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the real issue at hand, but of course the left has made it into a race issue, something that's totally irrelevant to what the issue at hand is and what the law is, and what's the issue of the government owning too much land and having too much power. So there was an interview that Clyde Bundy gave during a news conference, and this is kind of what he said. He quote, "I want to tell you one more thing. Let me start over. I want to tell you one more thing I know about the Negro. Recalling driving past a public housing project in North Las Vegas, and in front of that government house, the door was usually open, and the older people and the kids, and there is always at least half a dozen people sitting on they didn't have nothing to do. And because they were basically on government subsidy, so now what do? They abort their young children, they put their young men in jail, because they never learned how to pick cotton. And I often wondered, are they better off as slaves picking cotton and having a family life and doing things, or are they better off under government subsidy? They didn't get no more freedom. They got less freedom." Now, those are the words that everybody's up in arms over. Could he have used a better word or a better phrase other than picking cotton and Negro? Yes. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. I think, well, let's go on.
I think we're in agreement, but here's the issue. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's still exercising his freedom of speech. Okay? Even if the guy's wrong or, perceived as being wrong or an idiot or bigot, racist, whatever label wants to be put on him, it was still freedom of speech. And the other issue is that it had nothing to do with the issue at hand.
Yeah, and one of the things I think that's important for listeners to understand, as a journalist, I know that you have to, and I've done it too, you ask questions that take the interviewee away from the topic to bring him back to the topic. But in this case, this was a series of questions where he was baited by the New York Times reporters, and that became the topic as opposed to the real topic, which was, as Joe mentioned, either the government taking up too much land or whatever his issues were with BLM or whatever, and that became the issue. And it has nothing to do with anything except in his brain, his 80-year-old guy.
Debating.
It's
That's
debating. Exactly what it was.
They baited into it. And, of course, the left went nuts with it. And here's a little clip of what he had to follow up with, or what he did follow up with his comment.
Yeah.
He said this: I am trying to keep Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream alive. The BLM, the IRS, the NSA, all of the federal agencies are destroying our freedom. I'm standing up against their bad and unconstitutional laws, just like Rosa Parks did when she refused to sit in the back of the bus. I'm doing the same thing Rosa Parks did. I'm standing up against bad laws which dehumanize us and destroy our freedom. Just like the Minutemen at Lexington and Concord, we're saying no to an oppressive government which considered us to be slaves rather than free men. I invite all people in America to join in our peaceful revolution to regain our freedom. That is how America was started, and we need to keep that tradition alive.
Somehow that didn't make the front page.
Somehow, no. I had to dig for that.
Yeah.
I had to search for that. So, incredibly, he was labeled a racist, and you knew, he would be slapped with something like that. But, the government does have too much power. Okay, this is a simple man. Did they break some laws? Yeah, they did. Okay, and it could have turned into another Ruby Ridge, as we discussed in one of our last shows. But the government does hold too much power. What we can say, what we can own, where we can go. They want to say what kind of guns we can own.
Right.
So freedom of speech, our Second Amendment, our rights are being diminished right before our eyes. They're spying on us, listening into our phone conversations, installing devices into our computers that when you turn it on, they can see you, in some instances, even in TV.
TV, I was going to say, exactly. So you're always under watch.
Always.
Yeah.
Always under watch. And Big Brother is always there, always there. We've got drones now that circle our skies that you don't even know that sucker's there, taking a picture of you walking to your car. We've got things Ted Cruz has come out against. Can a drone actually kill an American citizen?
That's what Rand Paul was actually doing last year when he was in the Wells Senate with filibuster, asking about what will the administration do, and is it really prepared to do that? American citizens in America.
He had asked if there's an American citizen that might be suspect or something, right? Yeah. And they're out in a coffee shop. They're not doing any harm. They're doing nothing. They're sitting at a table, drinking a cup of coffee. Would it be constitutional? He was asking Eric Holder. Would it be constitutional to have a drone come in and assassinate that person?
Yeah, take him and anyone else around him.
And it took Eric Cantor 15 minutes practically to answer that question because he gave him a round robin, ring around the rosy type of
Eric
answer.
Holder.
Oh, I'm sorry, I say Cantor, yes, I meant Holder. Sorry, both. So they went round robin.
Exactly.
Round robin. Couldn't give an answer. Of course it's not constitutional to have that done.
Yeah.
But
due process.
Right. But would our government do that?
Well, you know what? This is the Obama administration, so it's possible that he can do anything they want. That's how they are. I mean, the laws don't really mean anything. And you think about, again, what Joe mentioned about Bundy, and there's the First Amendment, there's protection of the First Amendment, and the question is whether or not he had a right. Of course he has a right to say whatever he wants to You have a right to be an idiot. No law against it, as long as it's not harming anyone. Harming as in terms of what the Supreme Court says. So, he has a right to be an idiot.
Yeah, and freedom of speech, folks, stands for everybody.
Yeah, even idiots.
Even idiots, okay, and idiots of any color of skin, not just white, not just black, red, yellow, whatever.
Look at Al Sharpton, for goodness sake.
Yes.
He's
okay.
an idiot, certifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. So, even though I may not like someone's freedom of speech or disagree with it strongly, they have the right to it. And I'm sorry, folks, but I don't want anybody taking my freedom of speech away.
The question is what about Donald Sterling, and where is the line where America has a right to tell a person what they can and cannot think and say in private?
Right. Well, you have Donald Sterling, the former Clippers owner.
Yeah, current owner, but he can't really have anything to do.
The kind of owner.
Yes, the kind of owner.
Yeah. The kind of owner who's been making racist comments for some time now, actually. This is not new for this dude.
Well, yeah, it's not new.
He's kind of known throughout the NBA that he was kind of this way.
He did. In 2006, actually, the Justice Department engaged with him in terms of housing discrimination. He was saying black tenants smell and black vermin. He said that. Yeah. And the Justice Department took him to task for it, and he had to pay $2.7 million for discriminating against blacks and Hispanics and families with children. So it doesn't matter if they were minority or white, for that matter. He just didn't like anybody.
He's a crotchety old man.
He was a racist, crotchety old man.
Well,
who has sort of like racist tendencies. So
right, bigoted tendencies.
Yeah.
Well, he was unlawfully, in my opinion, taped by his quote unquote girlfriend or whatever she was at the time.
Yeah.
And so she released this tape for everyone to see his bigoted glory. You know what he said. There's major issues here going on. It's supposed to be a private conversation.
Right.
All right. Not meant for the public to hear. He wasn't trying to come out in public and say this stuff. He was saying this in a private conversation.
Yeah, because he's an award winner for the NAACP Lifetime Award. So.
Exactly. They're going to give him another one, I'm sure.
They were going to.
So guess that. Lost that one.
Lost that one.
But that was violated.
Yeah.
And two, it's called freedom of speech. As we said, is he a bigot? Probably. Yeah, he's a bigot. But he still has the right to say what he wants, and in private.
Right.
Okay? So here's some phone excerpts from the conversation with his lovely girlfriend.
Okay.
I'll try and do it in my best elderly man voice.
Okay. Go through it.
It bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. Do you have to? You can sleep with black people. You can bring them in. You can do whatever you want. The little I ask you is not to promote it on that, and not to bring them to my games. Don't put him, meaning Johnson, on an Instagram for the world to have to see, so they have to call me, and don't bring him to my game.
Magic Johnson?
Good old Magic Johnson. And just, you know what, I was just reading in passing, and I should have printed it out, and I didn't, but I was reading in passing that he had something to say about Magic Johnson having AIDS. He said, what has he actually done, or something like that? He's got AIDS.
Well, this was actually a second interview. He did an interview with CNN, and actually this week, and he talked about that. He would apologize. He said, and actually there's an article that will be coming out this week about that I'm going to write on that. But he talked about, don't I get a break? Come on, you guys. I deserve a break. Don't I get a one-time pass for this? And that's up for another discussion. But then in that same interview, he did talk about Magic Johnson and him. And so it's like, okay, the guy's 80 years old. Does he get a pass? I don't know.
Well, both of them are old. Okay,
yeah.
Clive and this guy, Donald.
Yeah. So they have 160 years together.
well, there's no like, they come from a different time. They do come from a different era. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but they're not a young generation. The older generation did use words such as Negro. Yeah.
Well, use other words too. But my thing is about that is that in both cases though, they were baited. That's my point about this. Is
absolutely.
That one was baited in terms of an interview with the New York Times and Clive and Bundy. The other one, because if you listen to the full interview, and I think
which you can find that on TMZ, by the way. I listened to the entire. Are you talking about Donald Sterling?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can listen to that on TMZ.
He basically as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, it's like led around by the nose by this woman. I mean, it wasn't spontaneous.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the things also. It sounded like I listened to the entire recording. It sounded like the man has a few little mental issues maybe going on, possibly.
Yeah, his wife said that you might have to mention. That's what she said this week.
So it sounded to me, this is just my opinion,
it
sounded like he had some mental issues going on and maybe some control and jealousy issues regarding his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wanted her around anybody, and it just so happened it was that picture with black people or something.
So he's surrounded by black people because he owns a team filled with black people, so I'm a little confused.
Yeah, and so this woman, his girlfriend, she actually has a lawsuit pending right now with Sterling for embezzling $2 million from him. Do you think that possibly could have anything to do with the setup?
She has a lawsuit
pending for embezzling $2 million from the old man.
From he actually has against her.
Yes. For
embezzling.
Yes.
And okay. Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
I mean, hello.
Yeah, that might have something to do with it.
Bueller. I mean, anybody home? Yeah, I would say that has a lot to do with it.
But she said on ABC that news that when they asked directly, do you think he's a racist? And she said, no. I'm confused.
Well, you know what? Next thing you know, she'll have a reality TV show, a book deal, and she'll be posing for Playboy. Okay? Do you see where this is going, folks? You see where this is going? She's already had her first interview, and I wonder how much they paid her for that. So, in my opinion, race baiting is alive and well here in America. Obama actually is one of the biggest defenders of race baiting. The Al Sharptons and Jesse Jacksons using race and bigotry as a weapon happens every day here in America, folks, and against all kinds, not just white, black, but all kinds. And if you speak out in any way other than what's quote-unquote right or what the left sees as the right way, prepare to be punished. Vilified. Because you are going to feel the hammer come down on you if it's not the right type of speech. And that, my friends, is a very scary scenario here in America, the land of the free.
I've been called a racist, and on many occasions, and
well, you are.
I'm a constitutionalist. Joel, come on, get it right. I'm a constitutionalist, and I believe in free speech. And I also believe to speak freely about liberals who actually keep blacks on plantations. Is that racist? No, it's real. I believe, that this whole situation with race baiters is a way it's been gone on for almost more than 100 years, is offensive. And not only offensive, it is actually racist. And I believe that white racists, and these are the ones who are liberals, because remember, liberals have been telling black people for more than a century or more that you can't do anything by yourself. You need them.
Yeah.
You got
a business?
Yeah, you didn't make that.
Oh,
no, hell no.
Business.
No. So
the top race baiter said that, folks.
So if you actually think for yourself, then that means, and you tell someone that, that means that a black person or a white person has to be racist to be saying that. Think for yourself. So this is ridiculous. Absurd. And that's why I believe, and Jules believes, and we all believe as conservatives that the Constitution does matter and protecting free speech does matter. So you have the right to stand for what you believe, whether I agree or Jules agrees or not. But certainly to vilify a person, especially in a private conversation where you're baited, that's an outrageous idea in the Constitution. And just imagine if that really does go forward in America, what kind of America do we really have?
Not a free one.
No.
Not a free one, because our freedoms are being taken away daily.
Yeah.
So, on a side note, I heard that Oprah was thinking about putting her hat in the ring to buy them, because you hear the quote that she made. She said something to the effect of to Sterling that the plantations are closed or something like that for him.
Yeah, well.
She might throw her hat in the ring to buy the Clippers now.
Well, as Bill Dwyer called him, he said that he was it was both plantation master syndrome. That's what he was suffering.
Who said that?
Dwyer.
Okay.
He said that's what he was, IPMS. Listen for it, folks.
Well, whatever people want to say about these two men, but that's their opinion, and I think they were forced into saying a lot. But if that's their opinion, that's their opinion. Let it go, folks. Let it go. Get over it. People have called me a cracker before.
They have?
Yeah. And remember how we were joking?
Oh, yeah.
I'm a saltine because I'm whiter than white. You're definitely rich. You're a little darker than me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
White meat, dark meat. That's Kevin I as a turkey.
Right.
So, folks, stand up for your rights.
Total.
All right. Okay. Now, let's move on to this little, as I mentioned earlier, this little zany segment. Okay, because this zany, odd things have been going on in the political arena lately.
Yeah.
First off, there's the former American Idol contestant, Clay Aiken, getting involved with politics. Now, what's up with that?
Because he can't sing.
No, actually, the guy can sing.
You know what?
But
you say he can sing. He can't. He has not made a future for himself. And
singing.
And singing.
But yeah, he has not really.
He tried Broadway. I think he tried movies.
But he hasn't really capitalized on it. I don't know quite what the reason is, but he was running in North Carolina.
Yeah.
For the U.S. Rep in the 2nd Congressional District. Okay.
Yeah.
As a Democrat, of course. And it's a sad story, actually. It looks as though he's won the primary. His opponent died. Keith Crisco died in his home from a serious fall.
Yeah, you know what? This guy was really...
That's sad.
What's sadder is that he actually came close. And I'm talking about Aiken.
Oh, yeah, he came within a little over 300 votes.
Yeah.
Well, Aiken won. He was leading with just that amount of votes, which proves, well, that every single vote counts. I mean, another one, another race.
Oh, I know it. He got the gay vote out, I'm sure.
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, Clay is he's gay.
Yeah, we just said that.
He went up. He's going to actually go up to the next the incumbent Republican Renee Elmers, and it said that he's going to have an uphill battle. She's the incumbent, and she's liked. Yeah. So he'll have an uphill battle. But Clay Aiken actually has a cast going on too.
Oh, what?
Well, it's kind of a lewd cast, actually.
Yeah.
So there were some lewd pictures of him doing a striptease, okay, that had shown up a few years back, soliciting actually a teacher, a man, for sex.
What? Really?
Yeah. So that showed up a little while ago, and I remember feeling a little eerily creepy, like, oh my gosh, Clay Aiken. I thought he was like, not that I watched a lot of American Idol back then, but he had a good voice, and it was weird because he was like this scrawny little redheaded kid, and this deep voice was coming out of him, so it was kind of like a phenomenon in a way.
Okay.
So that came out, and you were just kind of like, huh? Like, what? This nice kid that's supposed to be Clay Aiken? Okay. And then he actually has deleted some of his tweets.
Yeah.
But luckily, the news outlet that I got the information from was able to rediscover his little tweets that he deleted. So let's read a few of them, shall we?
Okay. Go, Jules.
This is fun. I like this. So, for the record, I hate Twizzlers. Okay. He thinks John Edwards' healthcare problems are karma, saying, or tweeting, I should say. What's that you say? John Edwards is suffering from a life-threatening heart condition? No, sir. He's suffering from karma. This was in one of his tweets.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. He certainly had an opinion on Mitt Romney's country club deal or whatever. Romney must be confused tonight. Told to shut up by a woman and called out by a black man. Okay. Let's see here. Barack Obama's and Mitt Romney's wives, and Mitt Romney's wife's horse. He said, just whooped Ann Romney's ass so hard that Ann's horse felt it. Okay. He has an economic plan, y'all. You want to hear his economic plan?
I do.
Dumb question. If a treasury can mint 1 trillion coin to spend on debt, why can't it mint a $16 trillion coin and pay off the debt entirely?
Oh my God, he went to school? This guy went to school?
Because I think that's called illegally printing money or something to that effect.
Oh my goodness.
Now, he voted Republican once, almost.
Almost?
This man almost makes me want to vote Republican. Almost. More goodies here. He likes Bill Clinton. Oh my God, can we please just repeal the 22nd Amendment? I want him back.
What about Monica?
And then regarding 2012, this is kind of not good. Playing drinking games with my brother now. We drink every time we see a black person on screen at the RNC convention.
Uh-huh. So you know what? This guy's a racist.
Okay. Well, here's another one for you if you think he may be racist.
Okay, I do.
Hey, at something official and at Ruben Studdard. For the first time in a long time, I'm thrilled that the black dude beat the white dude.
Oh, stupid. This guy's a moron.
So there you got it. There you have it, folks. Clay Aiken, bringing out a little bit of his past and what that dude stands for.
I guess what he's going to do is have a dance-off or sing-off.
He's going to have a dance-off. He's going to do the Running Man. He's going to do the Make It Rain. And he's going to do the Stanky Leg. So whoever wins Stanky Leg. But, okay, so we'll keep an eye on what's going to be happening with Mr. Clay Aiken. I mean, what a
twit.
Yeah, he is. He is kind of a twit. Another kind of funky story in politics. There was this guy, his name is Steve Wild, and he was running in North Carolina as a quote unquote conservative.
So we got one in South Carolina, and we got one in North Carolina.
North.
So we're talking about the Carolinas right now.
Yeah.
Something in the water, maybe. I don't know.
Something's up down there.
Yeah, what's up?
But he was running it as a quote unquote conservative.
Okay.
Now this dude quickly learned how your past can catch up with you. Okay. Like
how so, Jules?
Like a bum running after a bologna sandwich. Okay, that's how quickly your past can catch up with you. Now, was that racist against bums?
Wait a minute. Wait.
I'm sorry.
Let me contemplate.
I'm sorry, folks.
That's on the border, Jules.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
We got to find something else.
I was going to say something. I'm not going to.
Rip?
No, I was going to say something about tacos, and I'm not going to.
No, stay away. Move on.
We're moving on. Oh, gosh. Now, he quickly learned how his past can catch up with him. And running on the platform, this is a platform that he was against the gay agenda and against gay marriage. Okay? When in fact, he'd been working as a transvestite, cross-dressing woman.
Say what?
At a club called Club Odyssey from 2002 to 2010.
Oh, so he was a drag queen.
Yeah. Running the show. Now, one of the former club owners also confirms that during that time he was also gay. Okay? Here you are, running as conservative, running against, gay marriage, the
Yeah.
gay agenda, everything. So you're kind of lying and a hypocrite, I would think.
Yeah.
So his name back then was Miss Mona Sinclair. Mona Sinclair.
Mona Sinclair.
Yes, was his dress-up name. And in 2011, he was working as a promoter of the 2011 Miss Gay America pageant as well.
Wait, this is 2014. So did he have a conversion or something?
Well, this is what he had to say, okay? And,
Yeah.
and I can't stand when people hide behind religion as a reason of something. I can't stand that. When you know their intentions are not genuine.
Right.
This is what he had to say. I think that everyone has their own choices to make, and I'm fine with everyone making their own. For me, from a religious standpoint, just for my life, for me, it just is not something that I wanted to continue.
Okay.
From a religious standpoint, I don't care if someone wants to live their life that way. That's the way they choose to live their lives, or that's the way they were born, whatever it is. I don't care. You know, everybody has freedom to do whatever they want to do. But you don't, the story here is you don't try and lie and cover it up and run on false pretenses, you know, especially when you're dealing with the American people.
Right.
You know, eventually that kind of crap is gonna catch up with you, because the American people want transparency right off the bat.
Right.
And right off the bat, this guy was lying to them. So this is actually what the real problem is. You're running as a conservative on a conservative platform, and clearly you are not. And luckily, this clown lost, receiving only 27.9% of the vote. Oh, wah, wah, wah. Sorry to be a Debbie Downer there to you, Mr. Wiles, but 27.9% of the vote.
I wonder if we'd be on the lookout for this guy, but next time it's a Democrat, who has rethought his position on the gay
Is
agenda.
that coming to Jesus? Because he's a religious dude, too. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah. Keep forgetting things, Jules.
Yeah, so...
Be on the lookout.
And we got to get rolling real quick, but I want to mention this really fast, y'all. This is something that's very zany and very crazy, is that actor Richard Dreyfuss actually came out in favor of the Constitution. Now, if you know anything about Richard Dreyfuss, he's a hardcore leftist lib, okay? So he went on Fox News and talked to Mike Huckabee about the importance of teaching the Constitution and American exceptionalism. Huh? Like, I'm sitting there, that's like a huh moment. Now, Dreyfuss is known for being liberal, like we said, and this is what he quoted. I'm going to quote it really fast before we move on to our fun segment. We were responsible for the greatest revolution in the history of civilization. We gave to 90% of the human race freedom that they had been lashed for, lost fingers for, and had their heads chopped off for, and we gave it to them for free. And we are the most revolutionary nation that has ever been, ever will be. And we don't know enough about our Constitution or our history to know why we should be proud of it. George Washington said the Constitution should be central, the party should be peripheral. Now we've got it all backed around, and now the parties are central, and the Constitution is peripheral. We don't know anything about why the Constitution is the single most greatest step towards humans improving civilization since the beginning of man's time on Earth.
This came from him.
Yes. Now, he's also going to get elected officials to take tasks to them regarding this issue as well. It's called the Dreyfuss Project, and he's going to bring awareness of the Constitution, where civic knowledge makes for a stronger America. So I had to throw that in there real quick. I know we're running late on time, but folks, look this up because this is some seriousness. I think some of these actors and actresses are starting to see, and their eyes are starting to open up against this administration on what is happening and what is being taken away from them as artists.
Well, I do want to say real quickly, too, one of the groups I work with, We the Kids, and it's an organization out of Indiana. It's a national organization now, and we actually work with elected officials and schools to help kids understand the importance of the Constitution. And it's a growing effort. We have a music video coming out soon for that particular organization, and also Janine Turner, who is from Hollywood, former actress, and she has her own organization, too, that deals with the Constitution. And so I want to give a shout-out for Janine Turner, too.
Well, it's an amazing thing, folks. So make sure you look into what Richard Dreyfuss is doing. And as I told Kevin before, Richard Dreyfuss is actually my gastroenterologist.
Oh, that sounds personal.
Well, no, I had to have a procedure done where they actually take a scope and they look down your throat to see what's going on down there.
Okay.
You know, and so I had that done, and the first time I ever met him, I walked in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know who you look like? He's like, oh yeah, no, tell me. I'm like, Richard Dreyfuss. Oh my gosh. And so anyways, he gets that all the time, but it's just kind of weird going in to see him because, you know, for a checkup or something, because he looks just like Richard Dreyfuss. It's so crazy. And he looks like Richard Dreyfuss around the time during one of my favorite movies, which is What About Bob?
Okay.
And
that was an excellent movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and you know who one of my favorite actors is in that. So yeah.
I've seen that one about 5 or 6 times.
Bill Murray. Bill Murray's my man. So.
You got to see that guy. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, moving on. We got the Warrior of the Week, and we got the Beatdown.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with, since we're on like bad news, let's just start with Beatdown.
Okay. Well, the Beatdown has to really definitely go to Emily Les. She's a former actress. Former actress at 25. So we kind of give you an idea of her abilities. Anyway.
No Academy Award for Emily? What we're thinking?
You know, somehow she kind of dodged that one.
Yeah.
Lack of talent, I guess. Well, she ended up actually working volunteering at a women's center, and learned she was pregnant, and decided that she was going to take her abortion.
I saw the video, and I'm sure you folks did too, or at least probably heard about it. But go ahead. Give them a synopsis.
Bottom line is that she decided that she wanted to film it because she wanted to show the good feelings that women can have by doing this. And she actually said that she wanted to show a positive abortion story so that you can see it's really a good thing that you're murdering a person, and because it's done in a nice way.
She actually hummed through it. She was humming the song.
And, you know, just definitely, besides in the Beating of the Week, the fact that there are a lot of liberals that actually have come around here saying that this was, like, fantastic. I know that
brave.
Brave, and how can you be brave in killing a person in a, quote, nice way? Right.
And it's also come out, Kev, my understanding is that people aren't even sure that video is actually real. Meaning, like, did she really do it? You don't really see it happening, per se. You see her face in it. So people think that that's probably or maybe a ploy to promote abortion.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because they don't even talk about the fact that most people actually have a lot of remorse later on in life. As we talked about, I think, on our last show, that the repercussions of actually making that choice may not come out for years.
Exactly.
And the mental anguish that these women go through with the choices that they once made.
Right.
So you never know how your mind is going to react to something that you did in your past.
Yeah, and I thought she has to be the Beating of the Week player, hands down.
Absolutely. She gets a gold medal for that one.
Right.
All right, who's our warrior?
Well, this is a nice story. You know, when we think about cops in general, they're the first responders. They're the ones that sometimes stop you and give a reminder on how fast you're traveling, or actually how fast you should be traveling. But this time, this is a guy who has a special heart for helping. He's Officer Gaetano Acero, and he helped a 13-year-old kid actually that called the station and said that he wanted to run away. He was going through some problems, some challenges, whatever, and so he went to the station, and the cop gave him a ride home. And he said that it helped him to understand, number one, that there are people out there, kids out there, who need something more than just a pat on the back saying it'll be all right. He saw this 13-year-old actually was a good kid. He just had some really hard times, and he helped him. He said, "I'm going to be back," and he actually came back. He bought him out of his own paycheck a bed, chair, a desk, a TV, and someone who heard about the story actually donated a Wii game to him. He said, "This is his quote. My heart went out for him. I thought the little things that he needed, I could give him to make him a happier kid." But you know what? He keeps downplaying what he did because it's just part of who he is as a person. And so I think that we in this country, we look for those kind of heroes because they really are unknown. They do a lot of little small things to help a lot of people. And here, a police officer in South Carolina, Sumter, South Carolina, Officer Sarah, actually did something very, very genuine and very, very heartfelt. And he definitely is our warrior of the week.
Yeah, I love to hear feel-good stories like that because we need more people like that in this world that are willing to, give a helping hand. If you have a lot in your life to be thankful for, I'm all for, helping others. It enriches the soul and your soul and someone else's soul, and it's especially good for kids. Get them involved in a charity or get them involved with helping somebody that's less fortunate than they are. It really rounds you out as a person.
Right.
And while you're doing something really great for somebody else. So really, we're the winners in helping someone else.
Exactly.
So excellent. Well, I think those were two very worthy stars of our Warrior and Beatdown.
Thank you, Miss Jules.
Well, good. I'm glad we got through all of that awesome knowledge and information for all of you warriors. And warriors, don't hesitate to write us at any time to let us know, and we want to hear from you what you want to hear about on our show as well, what you find interesting, or if you have a story to tell or anything like that. Please make sure that you write to us at conservativewarriors@gmail.com. And I look at our emails every day, and I'll be sure to mention your story on the air because we want to know what's going on in your neighborhood, or you got news to share, or exciting events.
Or even have you on the show, too.
Yeah, or have you on the show.
Yeah.
Please feel free to call us anytime. We love our warriors, and we wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So, so we appreciate all the support you've given our show. So now it's time to move on to Papa Squat with Jules and Kat. And pretty soon, I've been working on some files. We'll have some really cool sound effects coming in the next coming show.
Yeah.
So it's I wanted our show to kind of be a little bit of vaudeville meets conservatism. So, some funny aspects and vaudeville meets conservative talk radio. So
totally cool, Jules.
Warrior Nation. So, so we've kind of talked a little bit about earlier. I don't ever write anything down really for this segment because I want it to be spontaneous, just kind of crap that comes to our brain or whatever.
And I'm spontaneous, but in a written way.
Oh, you mean in a well-prepared way? In a learned way?
Well, in my way. My way.
All right. Well, we talked about some things like describing each other. We had to describe each other, and I haven't anything written down.
Okay, Jules.
Okay, so you go first. How would you describe me, Kevin? If you had to describe me in even 5, what do you think, 5?
Jules, I have about 20 here.
Okay. Well, just in a few things. How would you describe me if someone didn't know me?
Okay. Wonder Woman. That's one of the things that I think about Jules because I watched Wonder Woman when I was it was on, and actually for those in Cleveland, it's still on Saturdays at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. Anyway, I think about Wonder Woman because I think about a person who believes in this country, believes in America, and actually believes in the majesty of who the country is, and actually works and tries very hard to battle for America. And so that's when I think about Wonder Woman because that happens to be Jules' alter ego.
Yes.
And
I love her.
Yeah. So that's what I think about Jules. And I also think about, okay, what is Jules? when you think about a person who writes, and I have the benefit of being able to talk to Jules a lot, and so when she talks, it's kind of like create stories. It's like paintings. If you think about a painter who paints stories about life, and she does that, but she does it with words, and sometimes in a funny way, sometimes in a focused way, a serious way, but it's always about stories about life. And again, the whole magic of what America is, but sometimes it comes from the magic of what it means by growing up in Pennsylvania. And typically it's like small things. And so I think about the small things that we have in our own lives and being able to share that. But Jules does it, she shares it all the time. Like I said, I can benefit from that because I get a chance to talk with Jules a lot, and I hear those things. And they really are sort of the small things that you probably feel in your life too, your life stories, but they're like little incidents in time, moments in time that are captured and they're painted into this whole landscape. And that's what I think about. I have a lot of other things here too, but that I think shows me who Jules really is. And the one of the other things is it's like we call ourselves warriors, and that sometimes that phrase or word can be used a lot, but have no meaning. I look at warriors as people who actually fight for things that are unpopular. It's easier to fight for something that's popular because you're going along with everyone else. But in this case, I think about how Jules is that she fights for things that are not popular necessarily, but they're necessary. And that's what a warrior does. You fight for things that are important for us as Americans and us as a family, because we really are a family in America. And sometimes she fights for her family, her children. That's important too. And I think that's something that we oftentimes are asked, what would you fight for? Would you fight, and what would you fight against? And most times it's always the easy stuff, but it's the hard things that are important. Like, how do you really look at yourself as a person that stands for your children even? That's something that I think about Jules because he's always talking about. So there's a lot of other things too, but those are, and I'll get into a little bit later, but that's what I think about Jules, the quick things that come off about this person that's called Jules.
Jules, the Nader.
A Nader. Remember that, you guys. Jules, the Nader.
All right. Well, okay. For you, there's many things too. One of the key elements of you is your faithfulness to God. That, I think, tops and rounds the list because you are so faithful with God. You know a lot about, not just about, the semantics, like the Bible and everything, but I really, truly believe that you have a connection with, you've had so many God experiences, and you kind of devoted your life, basically, to leading that path, the path that God has put you on. You have truly followed what God wants for you. And I believe, and so your faithfulness to God is loyalty, not just to God, but you're a very loyal friend, to me. I mean, I don't know how many times I've called you up in a rant, a fit of something about, like, a story I read that got me all, like, juiced up, regarding, I don't know, kids or something. And so I have on there, you're very patient. Like God is very patient, you also have learned to be a very patient person. You can sit there and listen to me rant for a very long time. So your patience is has no limit.
I don't measure time. I can listen to for 10 minutes or, in some cases, 5 hours.
But you also are very brave. We're warriors.
Yeah.
And you're very brave because you also fight for things that are not so popular, and are willing to take the flak for it from the public or friends, family, whatever it might be, which is extremely rare because not a lot of people will stand up for what they believe. It's easy to go along with the crowd, but incredible bravery Superman comes to mind because that is your alter ego.
Yeah, true.
And so Superman comes to mind. You're a wealth of knowledge. I sit here and I write the script, okay, for our show. And you don't even really need a script because you have everything stored up in the brain. I, on the other hand, cannot do that. My script will sometimes be 5,000 words. Not even kidding you, because and of course I stray from the script, but these are my notes. I like to be fully prepared, and so you're a walking wealth of knowledge. You're a walking book. I would describe you as a white woman in a black man's body.
Clown.
At times, white woman in a black man's body. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know what that means.
Because that's all I'll say about that. I think Kevin understands what I mean.
Trust me, folks, I'm lost.
Yeah. Not that he's a woman or anything like that. I don't mean it like that. But just can be goofy at times. Not in a bad way, in a good way. But yeah, you're a loyal, faithful friend to me and in God, which is very important. My life as well. You know, God guides my life and guides Warrior Nation, Conservative Warriors. And without that, without him, I don't know how anybody gets through life without him.
I don't
to be
either.
completely honest with you, he is the person that I can go to 1,000,000 times. And he is patient and he understands because he really, truly is the only person that can see into someone's heart and know what the true intentions are of that person and how they may be struggling or how they may not really be doing right by somebody else or whatever it might be. Right. I just simply, I talk to him 100 times a day, so I don't know how anybody gets through life without him, but you definitely have been set on a path by God, and you're following it. You're a faithful servant. So,
well, Jules, I look at the one thing that I think that listeners don't know about you, and I think is important, is that when you think about a person who's a writer, right? We're both writers, and I've been a writer for a very, very long time. And I mentioned about painting stories that Jules, because again, I had the benefit of listening to Jules paint among the stories. And they're all random. They're all just random memory facts that just come out. Yeah, you know what? And that's so cool. Actually, it really is quite cool. But I also think that if you look at some of her stuff, like on Clash Daily, and now on BuzzPoll, and actually on Conservative Warriors and such, you see that this person that you read actually believes and sort of like lives that. And I think that's really what's important for most people to understand, that there are people who will put words down, but they don't really mean anything. They don't really have any gravity. They don't really have any depth. And I think that's important because I look at writers who try to inspire and they fall flat. And I look at Jules and she inspires, and it really kind of like lifts you off the page, so to speak. But it's more important than that because it's like, when you think about a writer who actually, you look back from 2040, and that's my magic year for some reason. Look back from 2040, and you look at who was this person. How did society become impacted by that person? And that's the kind of writing that I think Jules does. It's like you look back and you see that this is where this started, and this is how this impacted whatever. And I think that's where we as Americans benefit from those kinds of people because that's what I see in Jules. And I've seen this since we did a show, the Kevin Fox show, and Jules was a 15-minute mom. She has just continued and grown from that. So, again, I've been the benefit of that. That's cool for me. But now the whole country has the benefit of that, too. And I think that's cool for you guys.
Yeah, well, Kevin's Irish.
That's true. I am Irish.
He's black, but he's Irish.
That's true.
And we talked about that on the last show. Because I didn't even know that about you. Out of curiosity, who in your family was Irish.
Yeah.
And Kevin's a twin, too.
That's true. Evan's my twin.
And it would be total. I've never met your twin in all the years I've known you, but it's weird because I see him on there. And I can tell the difference. You guys look different, I think.
Yeah,
from
we
one
are.
another. You guys are fraternal?
No, we're identical. We're identical, but we don't have identical political beliefs.
Oh, so then all you two have to start talking, and then it would be quite evident.
I think it's pretty evident. Yeah, definitely. I'm very, very conservative, and Evan is not. That's what I can say as a twin. And that's that's the thing about families. We all can exist and agree to exist.
Or agree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree
to some extent.
Yeah. So I'm a twin, and I think the thing is about that is that we've kind of had this road over the last several decades of our belief system. He is a Republican, and I'm a Republican, conservative, Tea Party person, constitutionalist. But also I am I'm an American, but my background, I'm Irish, and I'm also
Indian,
Blackfoot, and Cherokee Indian. So I have that part. All that together says that we're Americans, and that's what's so cool. We can draw from that strength and still be American. And that's, if you look at, I look at Jules, and I see a little bit of that. Blackfoot in you?
Very far back.
I'm looking.
Super. You can't.
No, I can see it.
It's Scots Irish all the way, Paul.
Yeah. Well, I see part of that too, Jules, and it's somewhere in there. Maybe it's right there in the hairline. I don't know.
Yeah. Somewhere. But my point, I guess, is that we're Americans, and that's what's so cool about it. Is that as Americans, we don't have to kind of be hyphenated. We spend so much time, I think, as Americans being hyphenated and labeled
a
lot, yeah.
That we just aren't consider ourselves as Americans. And so that's what I love about working with Jules, is that we work as Americans. We work as best friends, but we work as Americans too. And if we could do this show 5 days a week, 7 days a week, because we certainly got enough material. We spend more time talking about this stuff off show than on show. So
because it's more than just a dedication.
Yeah.
When you're in the arena that we're in, okay, and Kevin's a fabulous writer, and yes, he is, and he's been writing a very long time. As he said, he writes for Clash Daily, BuzzCo, Examiner, AP, Conservative Warriors,
Renew America,
yeah. all those big boys out there. So he's an amazing writer, but it's more than just a dedication for the two of us. I think it is, and if you're in this arena, and you're out there, you know what we're talking about. It's a kindred spirit. It's not just, I'm dedicated to this cause. It goes much deeper than that.
Right.
It is something it's a patriotism. It is a deep love for the country that you live in, a deep love for the world that you grew up in, because I grew up in a different time than we have today. Yeah, I was born in 73. I just turned 40 not too long ago. And, I grew up in a great time where your kids could play outside until dark, where your mother was screaming down the street when the street lights came on for you to get your rear end home. And, you wake up. It was Joel! More like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you had to get that little flicker of meanness in there.
Right.
You better get home or it's trouble. But where you could play outside from, summer was summer, man. You didn't do, you hung out outside. You were hot. You turned on the hose, or you put your face in the sprinkler and you took a drink that way. The ice cream man come by, playing out in the woods, getting ticks in your hair. Your skinned up knees. That's the America that I know and love.
Yeah.
And, where you didn't worry about, hey, this kid's black, or this kid's Mexican, or this kid's whatever. You just all played together.
Yeah.
And you played hard and you had good times, and it's about protecting our freedoms and our Constitution and our military, and it's all encompassed into one big ball. And it's a deep love and a deep connection. And they're out there. They're out there. There are folks that are dedicating their every single day of their life to it, just like we are. To be able to be in this inner circle, you've got to understand that it goes way deeper than I have a dedication. It's a passion.
Exactly. It's like it's our life and our lifestyle. And one of the things that I think about what it means for us as Americans, and something that I think is pretty interesting. You don't know Jules, but she has a myriad of funny faces for different occasions, and they kind of coincide with her whatever the funny moment is for that time, and then it's tied to some of her music too that she likes. So again, it's like Americana. It's the Americana of who we are as Americans, but more importantly, what we grew up with. And I think that's also part of who Jules is as a conservative, and actually as a warrior, but actually as a parent, a wife, a mother, a person who really does believe what the American dream is, what it's called. That's so cool, Jules. That's just cool.
Yeah, and you guys can do whatever you want to do. I hear these stories about how America isn't great anymore and everything. No, America is great. Our government sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what really, really stinks. It's not America.
Yeah.
Because America is beautiful. Okay, you still have the redwood forest. You still have the Great Plains.
Yeah.
You still have all kinds of beautiful landmarks. The Grand Canyon.
Right.
Everywhere in America, it's still beautiful. It's still majestic. It still stands for freedom. One of the most beautiful sights to me ever. And I think, other than my children, I think this is the most beautiful sight to me, and that is the American flag. There's nothing more beautiful than a big American flag waving up in the blue sky with clouds behind it, or a sunset behind it, or the fireworks going off behind it. To me, that can bring a tear to my eye. It's absolutely the most stunning view is the American flag. And I think we will protect it to the very end. I mean, I will not allow our country to be torn up by socialism or communism. I will not allow it to happen. I will fight for freedom. I'm tired of saying we're fighting against something all the time. Let's start saying we're fighting for something, and that is fighting to keep our freedoms and our liberties, and fighting to keep this land beautiful and not being taken over. Like I said, by socialism and communism and Big Brother. We are free, and we're right there in the trenches with you folks. There's keyboard warriors out there. We appreciate you, but try to get off that computer once in a while, write some letters, get down to Washington, D.C., fight for that flag because it means everything.
Right.
It means everything.
And that's what I'm talking about. Well, Jules, you can see that again in the pictures that she paints. You just got a painting, and for free from Jules.
My painter's brush.
Yeah, of America, of who we are as Americans, and I think that's powerful. And it's powerful because you live that every single day, and you understand that when you look at your children. You understand that when you look at your family. You understand that when you look at your neighbors. It's all quite powerful. It's majestic, actually, and that's the kind of poetry I'm talking about, the kind of art that I'm talking about, the kind of writing that I'm talking about, the kind of America that I'm talking about, because that's who Jules is, and that's really why it's so cool for you guys in terms of Warrior Nation, and listening and just being a part of. I mean, we're all a family in this, and it's just if we could do it 5 times a week, we would. And maybe
but eventually, eventually you will see Warrior Nation be a radio show that will be syndicated.
Mainstay in America.
Yes, it will be. And as we get through some things and we develop the show even more, I have a few other things that I want to introduce eventually to Warrior Nation. So we just love you guys. I love doing this. I do.
It really is a joy.
Wonderful. It is. It's a blessing that we're able to do this and actually sit in the Warrior Studios and talk into this blue Yeti. This is my Yet.
Yeah.
My little Yet microphone. And we get to sit here and broadcast our thoughts on our blog, our radio show to you guys of what we think is going on in America, and try and investigate and really, really bring you the latest on what is going on out there, because so many are not aware of what they're up against.
Right.
So it's our job to bring to you what you're up against so that you can formulate your own plan and be part of our warrior nation, to go to the battle lines. We're on battle lines. We're drawing the line in the sand, and we're in the front of the battle lines, folks.
Whereas Teddy Roosevelt said, we're in the arena. We're in the American arena. So come into the arena with us as we fight, all of us, for our nation, for our country, and for our conservative and biblical values. So it's just, again, and we could do this every single day. We plan to, very soon to be able to keep growing because it really is that. It's like America growing back.
Well, folks, I hate to cut it off, but we have got to run. We are out of time.
So no third hour?
No, I'm sorry. Not just yet. Not just yet. But make sure y'all check us out and look for much, much more from Warrior Nation in the future. So we love y'all so much. Good night, and God bless. See you on the flip side, Warriors.
America. This is Nate Smooth. Here it is. And let me lay it down for you. Check it out. Coming to you live with conservative talk and information for the warrior in you. We're all warriors in this warrior nation, fighting to keep our freedoms and constitutional rights. So never give up. Never give up the fight.
It's a warrior nation.
Fight the progressives.
It's a warrior nation.
Fight to keep our freedoms.
It's a warrior nation.
For you and me.
It's a warrior nation.
Protecting our liberties.
We're a warrior nation with no